Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. What daily habits set you up for success?
Well, every day looks a little bit different. As working at a school or whatever. I'm going to go back here real quick. One of the things I sometimes get frustrated with in listening to coaches, especially at the college level on all the other podcasts and stuff, is that's their full-time job. They do that all day. And I'm not frustrated like they're doing anything wrong. I'm frustrated with how can I use that information? And I can't always use it. It's a great idea, but you have a full-time job. You've got 3 student managers. You've got 3 assistants. Like I can't do that stuff. So my every day looks different, being in the classroom and then driving from where I teach to the community I live in and where I coach. But to answer your question, when I'm thinking about practice and I'm setting up my practice plan for the day, I always go to what are 3 things that we need to get better at. The beginning of the year, the list is so long because we're trying to put everything in that it makes it tough. But I try to not do too much. So what are 3 things? As the season progresses, those 3 things become more obvious. We're not a very good offensive rebounding team, or we turn the ball over too much in transition. So I can pinpoint those a little bit easier. But I found that if I try to do everything, I almost do nothing because I focused on too much. So if I can limit it to 3, and every once in a while it gets into 4, but I know I'm going to accomplish something and we're going to get better that day. So that's the first thing that I do with my practice plan is ask that. And that's really a performance-based thing. What does the team need to do to improve their performance? The second thing is we always have what I call a pre-practice meeting. It really starts our practice, but we meet in our team room. And the team room has been everything from the locker room to a teacher's classroom to we actually have a team room at our school, but it's not always available to us. I mean, it doesn't matter what you have at your school. It's this place that you're going to meet. I try to do it outside of the gym though. I just try to stay out of it. And that meeting usually lasts 20 to 30 minutes. So my practices tend to run around 2.5 hours. We would do about 20 to 30 minutes of what I call pre-practice, and then we get 2 hours of gym time. So that's kind of how it starts, and it fluctuates as the season goes. But in those pre-practice meetings, we will sometimes take all that time to do team building. Sometimes we take all of it. We watch film. We look at stats. Sometimes I talk about things that have nothing to do with basketball. If there's something going on in the world that I think is important, if there's a certain event going on that we need to be aware of at our school, we make sure that we're all on the same page. Now, I do tend to take the final few minutes of it to make sure that I go over what we're going to do in practice. These are areas we need to improve on. This is what I want you to make sure that you're mentally focused on when we step in the gym. So they've kind of heard it once, and now we're going to go do it. But every day is a little bit different. It's not always all film. It's not always all team building. It's something that's going to be different. But that's that's team-based for me. So we've got the performance-based stuff. We've got the team-based with our pre-practice meetings.
Before you go on to the third one, I think you dropped the nugget there really quick, and kind of went past that. I want to revisit is you can't do everything, and I think that is one danger of listening to every podcast, reading every book, going to every clinic, with the idea of how do I fit all of this into what we do. And I think there's a part of like the art of coaching, but then also give ourselves a break. And if there's something that fits in with the culture that you've already established, a small tweak, a small enhancement that can add a lot of value, that's kind of what we're looking for. A complete overhaul or cramming everything from a podcast session into what you do, you might end up getting really frustrated and not achieving very much at the end. And so I think that was a great nugget. I'm a high school, like you, I even feel sometimes that way with college coaches and all the resources and time that they do have. all the things they get to do. Like, I love that. I love the experience that their players have, and having people to rebound them, and all the film
Yes.
that they can use in different ways, like just basically throw it up on a wall, it's there, and you know, and I'm thinking, okay, but I think that way sometimes even about some high school coaches around here, that I have no full-time assistants at school with
Hmm.
me. They're all part-time. So like second period athletics, we get 43 minutes. It's me and 20 dudes.
Yeah.
And I have to do my very, very best through that time. So I think all that to say, you're right on the money with take bits and pieces, take the Bulldog games, take these three things you're talking about, but don't feel like you ever have to completely throw everything out.
No, to you've got to make it your own and fit your personality, and you can't take everything somebody else does. So like the Bulldog games, for example, if that's something that doesn't fit, if you're 100% competitive, everything's got to be basketball related,
No fun. No, I'm just
that's
kidding.
yeah, that's silly, then you wouldn't use it.
Right.
If you can take an hour out of your season and say, we're just going to have fun with these guys, we're going to let the seniors get to know the freshmen get to know the seniors and compete a little bit, then it's worth your time. So you got to take definitely what fits for you. And I think that's true with your offense and defense too.
Yeah.
There are good aspects of the pack line defense. There's good aspects of the 2-3 zone, the 1-3-1, full court presses, or like we run the force baseline defense. They all have good parts to them, and coaches win with each one of those.
Yeah.
But nobody wins doing all of those things.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, but master of none. I feel like coaches are really guilty of that. What's your third thing out of your practice planning?
The third thing I do, and it's just stepping back, and it's just something I mentally do, is I step back and ask myself, what am I missing? If I allow myself to get so entrenched in our last game, win or lose, if I allow myself to get so wrapped up in a parent meeting or a player issue that might be going on, I need to ask myself, what am I missing? Am I missing a life lesson that can be taught here? Am I taking things too serious and I'm not treating these kids like high school kids? I'm treating them like they're NBA players or they're major college players. And I just want to make sure that I center myself enough to know that these are high school kids. I've got kids who play 3 sports.
Yeah.
Basketball is not their first sport. I don't get to go hand pick every single kid. I get the kids who come out. I don't recruit to come into my program. When I coached in college, I did. I had a choice. Do I want to recruit them or not? And I could have all of these kids come on visits and talk to their parents and offer them scholarships and do whatever. And basketball was their one love, their main thing that they wanted. In high school, I got an offensive lineman. I got a pitcher on the baseball team. They like basketball, but it's not their first love. There's other things that they're going to go after. And I've got to make sure that I keep that in perspective. So I ask myself a lot, what did I miss? And I do the same thing when I watch a game film too. All right, the game, this is how it went. I know everything that I saw during the game. What didn't I see? And that's where my assistants can come in and really help me out, because they see different things. And when I say assistants, I do want to clarify, because you said, you don't have any full-time assistant. I have one assistant coach. It's my dad. He drives up. He drives about a half an hour every day to get here for practice. I absolutely love it.
That's big time.
He gets to be in the gym. My boys, who aren't quite old enough to be in high school yet, are in the gym quite often. My daughter plays on the girls' varsity team, and so he gets a chance to see all of them, and we absolutely love it. And then I have my freshman JV coach, who love being a part of the program. But they give their time to sit on the varsity bench. They come into my practices from time to time. They're not there every day. They've got a family, or they've got other obligations once their practice is over. So I use what I have, and I do the very best I can with it. But so I just want to make sure that everybody knows there are schools that have 2 paid assistants. There are schools that pay their assistant coaches more than I get paid as the head coach here. And they're in high school. I get that, but this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to do the best with right now, right here where I can.
I would think that I don't know stats or anything, but the majority of coaches kind of have what you have or what I have, not the we hear about some of those programs that have a lot, but we have to, you're right, we have to steward what we have and do a great job with that. And I think you nailed it, perspective. With our players, like the realization that they don't all want to play college basketball, that hit me hard when I was younger. And when I heard that for the first time, I was like, well, then what are you here for? Why are you doing it? In fact, our best player to ever come out of Faith, he hit 439 threes in his 4 years, which is, it's a lot, and scored 2,700 points. After his sophomore year, I asked him, hey, where are you thinking of going and playing in college? He said, I don't want to play in college. And it's like he just punched me in the gut. But at the end of the day, I think we really got to honor those players that just want to be great in the moment and don't have aspirations to do more, and value their time and help them to know that we're okay with that decision as well.
Well, we had that this year. I'm glad you brought that up. We had a young man who just grew leaps and bounds. Last year he averaged 3 points a game. This year he averaged 17 points a game. And they did a story on him in the paper here and everything. And it was phenomenal that he got recognized. He put a ton of hard work in the summer in the weight room and getting in the gym, all that stuff. And I asked him one day, Jacob, what are you thinking about doing next year? You want to play somewhere? And he said, I really thought about it too much, coach, but I don't think so. I was like, that's okay. If you change your mind, you let me know. I'll be happy to contact some coaches. I've had a couple who have inquired about it. That's why I'm asking you. And at the end of the year, we talked again, and he's like, I think I just want to go to college and just experience that. And I said, Jacob, I want you to know that doesn't disappoint me at all.
Yeah.
Like, you did a phenomenal job. You put everything you could into it. And just knowing that you want to be a student and maybe you'll play intramurals or you'll do something, something else, that's perfectly fine. You have to know you. And this sounds like the right decision. So, and I said that at our banquet too, because we have another young man who is going to play in college, and that's his dream. And that's phenomenal as well. That's it. You go pursue it. Jacob's reason for not playing is a good decision for him. Ashton's reason for continuing to play is because that's what drives him. And both are great. You have to understand who you are and what you want.
Yeah. I think when we see these players that truly they know the direction that they want to go. I think the hardest thing for coaches when you see a kid flip-flopping back and forth.
Yeah.
That's I thought you said you wanted this. I've been working over here to help you get.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't. You said you didn't want this. Now those are the ones we really got to come behind, but then celebrate those kids that, like the one I was talking about, Dalton, who finished in such a great way. After our final game, we lost in playoffs. He tweeted out, which he didn't tweet. He wasn't on social media very much, but he tweeted out, I loved every second of it. I have no regrets. And like that's it. When you're talking with you're talking with your players, when you're talking with parents, what do we want for our kids? That we want them to have no regrets when they're done. And then, so using stories like your two guys and stories like Dalton, I think that can help players also.
Definitely. We don't want to put them in a box. We want to be there to support them, help them in any way that we can. And that's through, for some kids, I've written so many scholarship recommendation letters this year. That's how I can best support them. You are part of our program. You gave us everything you possibly could. And just because we're not in season anymore, I don't forget about you. Yeah. I'm still here to help and support you in whatever way I can. Sometimes that's calling a college coach, and sometimes that's writing a letter of recommendation. Just whatever I can do for that kid.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.